I hosted Thanksgiving in my own house. Something felt off. You're sitting there? My mother-in-law said. They ignored me all night. Then I realized. I didn't react when she said it. I just smiled and shifted my chair like it was a normal question. Like it made sense for someone to be confused about where I sat in my own dining room. But it wasn't about the chair. It was about where I fit. Or didn't. That moment didn't come out of nowhere. It had been building for years, just quietly enough that I kept telling myself I was imagining it. The first time I met Ryan's family was in Boise. We had been dating long enough that it felt like a big step, but not so long that I felt secure. I remember trying to act calm on the drive to his parents' house, telling myself not to overthink anything. Relax, Ryan said, one hand on the wheel. They're easy. You'll be fine. I nodded. I'm not worried. That wasn't true. When we pulled up, the house looked exactly like what you'd expect. Clean yard, quiet street, that kind of place where everything feels established. Permanent. Linda opened the door before we even knocked. The second she saw Ryan, her face softened in a way I hadn't seen before. There you are, she said, pulling him into a hug. Then her eyes shifted to me. Just for a second, there was this pause. Like she was placing me. Oh, hi, she said. Not cold. Not warm either. Just neutral. Mom, this is April, Ryan said. Right, Linda replied, giving a small smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Come in. I stepped inside, already feeling like I had interrupted something. His dad, David, was in the living room watching TV. He glanced over, nodded once, then went back to the screen. Dad, Ryan said. This is April. Hey, David said without looking up again. That was it. No questions. No curiosity. Just acknowledgement. I told myself it was normal. Some families aren't overly welcoming. Some people take time. I could handle that. Then Lily came in. She looked at me, then at Ryan, then back at me. So this is her, she said. I laughed lightly. I guess so. She smiled, but it felt like she was studying me, not meeting me. You're different from what I expected. I didn't know what that meant, so I just said, hopefully in a good way. She didn't answer that. Just turned and walked toward the kitchen. Dinner's almost ready. That was the first night I realized something was off. Not wrong. Not dramatic. Just slightly out of place. Dinner felt like stepping into a conversation that had already been going on for years. They talked about people I didn't know, stories I hadn't heard, jokes that didn't get explained. I tried to keep up. I asked questions. So how long have you lived here? I asked Linda. She answered, but briefly. Then the conversation shifted back to something else. Something familiar to them. At one point, Lily started laughing about something from high school, and everyone joined in. I smiled too, even though I didn't understand it. Ryan squeezed my hand under the table like he was reassuring me, but he didn't bring me into the conversation. He just stayed in theirs. After dinner, I helped clean up. Not because anyone asked, but because it felt like the right thing to do. Linda handed me a towel without looking at me. You can dry. I took it. Sure. We worked side by side in silence for a while. I tried again. Everything was really good, I said. Did you cook all of this? Mostly, she replied. Lily helped. I nodded. I'd love to learn some of these recipes sometime. Another pause. We'll see, she said. That was it. No follow-up. No, that'd be nice. Just, we'll see. On the drive back to the hotel, I stared out the window. They're nice, Ryan said. Yeah, I replied. I wanted to explain what felt off, but I couldn't put it into words without sounding dramatic. They just take a little time, he added. Of course, I said. And I believed him. Or maybe I wanted to believe him. Because the alternative was admitting that something was wrong, and I didn't know how to fix it. The next few visits were the same pattern. Polite. Distant. Controlled. No one was rude enough to call out. No one was warm enough to feel safe. And I kept trying. I showed up with desserts. Remembered birthdays. Asked about their lives. I adjusted myself slowly without even noticing it. Spoke less. Smiled more. Laughed at the right moments. I thought if I just found the right version of myself, it would click. Then Jason showed up. Lily brought him home one weekend like it was no big deal. This is Jason, she said. And everything changed. Linda lit up. Jason, it's so nice to meet you. David turned off the TV. Lily sat next to him like she was proud of something. Within minutes, they were asking him questions. Where he worked. How he met Lily. What he liked to do. They laughed at his jokes. Pulled him into conversations. Explained stories so he could follow along. I sat there, watching it happen in real time. The difference. It wasn't subtle. At one point, Linda said, you have to come back for Thanksgiving. We always host. Jason smiled. I'd love that. I had been coming around for over a year at that point. No one had ever said that to me. On the drive home, I didn't say anything. Ryan glanced over. What? Nothing, I said. You're quiet. I'm just tired. That wasn't true either. But I didn't know how to explain the feeling without sounding like I was competing with his sister's boyfriend. So I stayed quiet. And something in me started to shift. Not all at once. Just enough that I noticed I stopped trying as hard. I still showed up. Still smiled. Still played my part. But there was a distance now. Like I was watching myself from the outside, wondering how long I could keep pretending this felt normal. I didn't know it yet, but that quiet shift, that was the beginning of the end. I didn't stop going. That would have been too obvious. I just stopped trying the same way. It was subtle at first. I didn't bring desserts every time. I didn't jump up to help before anyone asked. I didn't force myself into conversations that clearly didn't need me in them. I told myself I was just relaxing. But really, I was pulling back. The next time we went to Boise, I noticed it immediately. Not in them, in me. I sat on the couch while they talked in the kitchen. Normally, I would have followed, hovered, found something to do. This time, I stayed where I was. No one came to get me. I could hear them laughing. Linda, Lily, Ryan, and Jason. Jason was there again. Of course he was. At one point, I heard Linda say, "Jason, you have to tell us that story again," and they all laughed before he even started talking. I sat there staring at the TV, not really watching it. That was the first time I realized something uncomfortable. If I removed myself, nothing changed. Dinner was the same. They sat in their usual spots. No one assigned seats, but somehow it always ended up the same way. Ryan next to Linda. Lily across from him. Jason next to Lily. I ended up at the edge. Not pushed there. Not told to sit there. Just, that's where space was. I didn't say anything. At one point, Jason turned to me. "So, April, what do you do again?" Before I could answer, Linda jumped in. "She writes, right?" I nodded. "Yeah. What kind?" Jason asked. "Mostly content work. Some freelance projects." "That's nice," Linda said. "Nice." Then the conversation shifted again. Back to Jason. Back to Lily. Back to things that didn't include me. I wasn't even offended anymore. Just aware. After dinner, I didn't get up right away. I waited. Linda looked at me. "Are you going to help?" The tone wasn't rude. It wasn't kind either. Just expectation. I stood up. "Yeah, of course." In the kitchen, she handed me a towel again. "You know where everything goes now," she said. Not, "Thank you." Not, "I appreciate it." Just, "You know your role." That night, back at the hotel, Ryan kicked off his shoes and sat on the bed. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah. You seem off lately." "I'm fine," I said, a little too quickly. He watched me for a second. "If something's bothering you, you can just say it." I hesitated. This was the moment, right? The moment where I could explain everything. All the small things. All the ways I felt, outside. But when I tried to put it into words, it sounded weak even in my head. "They just don't really talk to me," I said finally. Ryan frowned. "That's not true." "It kind of is. They include you." "When?" I asked, before I could stop myself. He didn't answer right away. "They just take time," he said again, like he had the first time. I let out a small laugh. "It's been over a year." "They're just like that," he insisted. I nodded slowly. Except they weren't. Not with Jason. I didn't say that out loud. Because I didn't want to turn it into a comparison. But the comparison was already there. The next few months followed the same pattern. We'd visit. I'd be polite. They'd be neutral. Jason became a regular. He was at every dinner, every gathering, every holiday plan. And every time, it was the same. "Jason, sit here. Jason, try this. Jason, what do you think?" They asked for his opinion. They laughed at his jokes. They pulled him into conversations. With me, it was always surface level. "How's work?" "Busy." "That's good." End of conversation. I started noticing the way Lily would look at me sometimes. Not openly rude. Just measuring. Like I was something temporary. One afternoon, we were all sitting in the living room. Jason was talking about a property he was selling, something about closing a deal. "That's impressive," Linda said. "You're doing really well." He smiled. "Trying to." "You've always had a good head on your shoulders," she added. I glanced at Ryan. He didn't react. I wondered if he even heard the difference. Later, when Jason left early, Linda walked him to the door. "Drive safe," she said warmly. "Text us when you get home." I stood a few feet away, watching. No one had ever said that to me. Not once. On the drive back to Madison that night, I stared out the window again. Ryan reached over, resting his hand on my leg. "You're quiet." "I'm just thinking." "About what?" I hesitated, then decided to push a little. "Do you think your family likes me?" He looked surprised. "Of course they do." "Really?" "Yeah." I turned to face him. "Then why does it feel like I don't exist when I'm there?" He exhaled, like he was already tired of the conversation. "You're overthinking it." "I don't think I am." "They're not big on emotional stuff," he said. "They show it differently." I almost laughed. "Then how do they show it with Jason?" I asked quietly. That made him pause. It's different, he said. How? He didn't answer. The silence after that felt heavier than anything we'd said. That was the moment something clicked for me. Not emotionally. Logically. It wasn't that I wasn't trying hard enough. It wasn't that I needed more time. It was that I wasn't part of something they were willing to open. And no matter how much I adjusted myself, that wasn't going to change. After that, I stopped trying to figure out how to fit. I just started stepping back. At first, it looked like nothing. But inside, everything was shifting. And I didn't realize how far that shift would go until the night I decided not to show up at all. I still showed up for Thanksgiving. That was the thing. Even after everything, I didn't pull away completely. Not yet. Not when it actually mattered. Ryan asked me a week before, are we still hosting this year? I said yes without thinking about it. Because some part of me still wanted to prove something. Maybe to them. Maybe to him. Maybe to myself. If I did everything right, maybe it would feel different. So I went all in. I cleaned the entire house top to bottom. Rearranged the dining area so it felt open, welcoming. Bought new plates, new serving dishes, even a centerpiece I didn't really need. I planned the menu for days. Wrote everything out. Timed it so nothing would be cold. Ryan offered to help, but not in a real way. Tell me what to do, he said once, then went back to his phone when I didn't immediately give him instructions. So I just handled it. The morning of Thanksgiving, I was up before sunrise. Cooking, prepping, checking everything twice. By the time they were supposed to arrive, everything was ready. And then they were late. Not 10 minutes. Not even 30. Almost an hour. No call. No message. Ryan texted his mom once. No response. They're probably just running behind, he said. I nodded, even though something in me tightened. When they finally showed up, it was loud. Like they were walking into their own house. Linda came in first. It smells good, she said, already walking past me. Not, thank you. Not, this looks amazing. Just an observation. David followed, carrying nothing. Lily came in last with Jason, both of them talking mid-conversation like they hadn't just walked into someone else's home. Hey, Jason said when he saw me. Hi, I replied. That was it. No one offered to help. No one asked what needed to be done. They just sat down. Ryan went to join them, like he always did. I stayed in the kitchen a little longer than I needed to, pretending I was finishing something. Just breathing. Just trying to reset whatever feeling was already starting to build. Dinner eventually started. No one asked where to sit, but somehow it all fell into place the way it always did. Linda near the center. Ryan next to her. Lily across. Jason beside Lily. And me. At the far end. In my own house. I picked up my plate and moved toward an empty chair closer to Ryan. Not even thinking about it. Just instinct. That's when Linda looked up. You're sitting there, she said. Not angry. Not even rude. Just confused. Like it didn't make sense. The table went quiet for half a second. I felt every eye flick toward me, then away. I smiled. Yeah, I said, already moving my plate back. I'll just sit here. Back to the end. No one said anything. Dinner continued like nothing happened. They talked over each other, jumping between stories and jokes I didn't understand. At one point, Lily started laughing about something from years ago, and everyone joined in. Jason leaned forward. Wait, what happened? And Linda explained it to him. Slowly. Making sure he got every detail. They laughed again. I sat there, chewing food I couldn't taste. At some point, I tried to join in. That reminds me of something that happened at work. But my voice got lost in the middle of someone else's sentence. No one noticed. Or if they did, they didn't acknowledge it. I stopped talking after that. Just nodded. Smiled when it seemed appropriate. Watched. At one point, Linda reached across me to grab a dish. Her arm brushed mine. No, excuse me. Nothing. Just reaching past me like I wasn't really there. And that was the moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just clear. This is my house. My food. My table. And I feel like a guest they barely tolerate. After dinner, I stood up automatically, already collecting plates. Lily didn't move. Jason stayed seated. Ryan hesitated for a second, then kept talking to his dad. Linda followed me into the kitchen. You can start with those, she said, pointing to the sink. Not, do you want help? Not, thank you for cooking. Just instructions. I nodded. Okay. We worked in silence for a bit. Water running. Plate stacking. You didn't need to make this much, she said finally. I paused. I just wanted there to be enough. There's always enough at my place, she replied. Something about the way she said it landed wrong. I didn't respond. Later, when everything was done, I walked back into the living room. They were already planning next year. Honestly, we should just do it at Mom's again, Lily said. It's more traditional. Linda nodded. It's easier that way. Ryan didn't say anything. I stood there, holding a dish towel, listening to them talk about next year like this year hadn't even mattered. Like I hadn't. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I didn't know what else to do. Yeah, I said. That makes sense. No one looked at me. That night, after they left, the house felt too quiet. Ryan closed the door and stretched. That went well, he said. I stared at him. Did it? I asked. He frowned slightly. Yeah, everyone seemed happy. I nodded slowly. Right. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just walked into the kitchen, looked at the empty table, the clean counters, the leftovers packed away. Everything done. Everything perfect. And none of it mattered. I didn't cry. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. Like something in me had finally stopped trying. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to fix it. I just felt quiet. Finished. And that quiet feeling, that was what changed everything after. I didn't make an announcement. I didn't sit Ryan down and say, I'm done with your family. I just stopped. The first time was small. A Sunday dinner in Boise a couple weeks after Thanksgiving. Are you ready? Ryan asked, grabbing his keys. I'm not going, I said. He looked at me like I'd said something strange. What do you mean? I'm just staying home. Why? I shrugged. I have stuff to do. I didn't. Not really. But it sounded easier than explaining everything I couldn't quite say out loud. He stared at me for a second. Okay, I guess. There was confusion in his voice, but not urgency. Not concern. He left. And I sat on the couch in the quiet house, waiting for the guilt to hit. It didn't. That was the first thing I noticed. Instead, I felt calm. No pressure to perform. No rehearsing conversations. No wondering if I said the wrong thing or didn't say enough. Just silence. The next time, it was easier. Dinner at my parents' Friday, Ryan said. I'm not going, I replied. He paused. Again? Yeah. Are you mad at them or something? No. That part was true. I wasn't mad. That would have been easier to deal with. I just don't feel like going, I said. He studied my face like he was trying to figure something out. Okay, he said slowly. And again, he went without me. Weeks passed like that. He'd go. I wouldn't. No arguments. No big conversations. Just distance. I stopped answering the family group chat unless it felt necessary. Even then, I kept it short. Sounds good. Thanks. Busy, but okay. Nothing more. I stopped reminding Ryan about birthdays, holidays, all the little things I used to keep track of. If he remembered, he remembered. If he didn't, he didn't. And that part felt strange at first. Like I was dropping responsibilities I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. But once I let go, I didn't pick them back up. And slowly, my life started to feel lighter. I didn't dread weekends anymore. I didn't replay conversations in my head after they happened. I didn't feel that constant low-level anxiety of trying to fit into something that never quite fit me back. I started spending more time with Grace. Coffee shops in downtown Madison, long conversations that actually felt like conversations. You seem different, she said one afternoon, watching me over her cup. In a good way? I asked. She smiled. You seem less tense. I laughed a little. That obvious? Yeah. I looked down at my coffee. I just stopped trying to be part of something that doesn't want me. Grace nodded slowly. That's not easy to admit. It's easier than pretending, I said. And I meant that. Ryan noticed eventually. Not right away. But after a few weeks, it became too obvious to ignore. You haven't been to my parents' place in a while, he said one night. I know. Is there a reason? I hesitated. This was the conversation I'd been avoiding. I just don't feel comfortable there, I said finally. He frowned. Why? I exhaled slowly. Because I don't feel like I belong. That's not true. It is, I said, more firmly than I expected. They like you. In their own way, I replied. I know. Then what's the problem? I looked at him. The problem is that their way doesn't feel like anything to me. He didn't respond right away. I've been trying for years, Ryan, I continued. Showing up, helping, adjusting, and nothing changes. They're just not expressive, he said. They are, I replied. Just not with me. That hit something. He looked away for a second. That's not fair, he said quietly. I know, I said. But it's true. Silence filled the room. I'm not asking you to stop seeing them, I added. You should go. They're your family. But you're my wife, he said. I know. Then why does it feel like you're separating yourself from them? I thought about that. Because I am, I said. That was the first time I said it out loud. And once it was out there, I couldn't take it back. The conversation didn't turn into a fight. It just faded. Like neither of us knew what to do with it. After that, things settled into a new normal. He went to Boise. I stayed in Madison. He talked about them sometimes. I listened, but didn't engage much. And for a while, that was it. Until something changed. It started small. A text from Linda. How's work going? I stared at it for a minute before replying. Busy but good. She responded with, that's nice. That was it. A few days later, Lily sent me a message. Want to grab lunch sometime? I read it twice. It felt strange. Like it came out of nowhere. Maybe, I replied. I'll let you know. I didn't. More messages followed over the next couple of weeks. Nothing big. Just small attempts. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Miss seeing you. That last one made me pause. Miss seeing me? Since when? I didn't know what to do with it. Part of me felt irritated. Where was this before? Why now? After I'd already pulled away. After I'd already accepted my place, or lack of one. Another part of me wondered if this was their way of trying. If maybe I had been too quiet, too distant, and this was them adjusting. But if I was being honest, I didn't feel anything. No relief. No excitement. No sense of finally being included. Just distance. Like whatever connection could have been there had already faded. Ryan brought it up one night. Mom said she texted you, he said. Yeah, she's trying. I know. Lily too. I know. He looked at me carefully. Does that change anything? I didn't answer right away. I thought about the years I spent trying. The dinners. The silence. The way I shrank myself without even realizing it. And then I thought about now. The quiet. The space. The way I felt like myself again. I don't know, I said finally. And that was the truth. Because I could go back. I could respond more. Show up again. Try to rebuild something that never fully existed. Or I could stay where I was. In this space where I didn't feel small anymore. Where I didn't have to earn anything. Ryan didn't push after that. But I could feel it. The distance between us. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just there. And I don't know what happens next. I don't know if I'm supposed to meet them halfway now that they're finally taking a step. Or if it's okay to stay where I am, even if it means that part of my marriage never fully connects. I tried for years. And now that they're finally knocking, I'm not sure I want to open the door.